Raw, real, and just a little dangerous. This is Feral.
I could not tell you if you put a gun to my head how Celi's brain works. And the machinery of it is just a beauty. It's just beauty. So everyone's like, way to overhype me in my intro, Annie, whatever. This one can take it. This one has surgical precision for finding problems in business. But how do we start to figure out even the ballpark of where not just the popcorn myriad millions of minutia problems we have, those are surface issues. They might even be symptoms of the underlying. But what's your $1 million problem? And what $1 million problem are you maybe not solving for your clients because you haven't solved your own $1 million problem?
Ooh,
It's a circle of $1 million problem.
That's good.
So I'm going to let this Argentinian goddess take it away. Sal, I'm going to pop to the chat. And then if you need me to come back on camera, you just call for me and I'll be right here. And then I'll also be in the chat. Anybody? So if you have questions, I can curate those. Mwah!
Amazing.
Away,
I wanted to tell you, Annie, I think that you and Danny would appreciate that I wrote an email to my list about this event. And I wrote it myself without the help of AI. Because I tried AI and I was like, no, you lame. No, try again. No, you sound boring. F this. I'm doing it myself. I'm writing the story I want to tell. And let me tell you, it gets really good.
Listen, I love that. And if y'all missed Danny's chat about really AI, it was so good. It was I
really enjoyed it.
The replay will be up in a bit. But yeah, it's like what we got to that was use it for outlining. Don't use it for copywriting. And I actually think that's a lovely segue into what you're going to talk about is like sometimes we use a fork to brush our hair, but also like, wouldn't it be more effective if we used a brush? It works, but wouldn't it be more effective to do something else?
What's really funny is that somebody actually responded to my email and he was like, oh my God, I wish I could write hooks like you. And like, I got to work on this. And I was like, that's hilarious because I wrote it myself. Thank you, sir. And then the email happened to be about somebody who ghosted me recently.
Ew.
And the guy who ghosted me actually responded and said, I believe that email was about me and I'm so sorry. I've been really enjoying the sessions from today. I mean, Annie knows brilliant people. So today we're going to talk about what's your problem. So full disclosure, guys, if you don't know me, easiest way to talk to me is my name is Celi, very short for Maria Celia Arias. I've been in business for a really long time. I have a supply chain and manufacturing background. I started a fashion design business when I was in my early 20s. I have a dance background before that. And then I worked my way into becoming a COO to tech startups. And now I scale multi-7-figure businesses. If you don't know me and we're not friends and we haven't hung out, come find me on the IGs as Celi Grows Business or like send me an email at celi@grownupsbusiness.com. Okay, we're going to get into it. So Annie asked me about doing this session. We were talking about, I'm in an interesting place in my business right now. I've taken a sabbatical from my group coaching programs because I'm building something magical and special on the back end, which I'm really excited about. And so she was like, what do you want to do? Like, do you want to do anything? You don't have to do anything if you don't want to. And I was like, if I have full carte blanche to talk about whatever I want to talk about, I want to talk about what's your problem? And she was like, yeah, let's do that. Because what I've found in my work over years is we're often trying to solve for the wrong problem in our businesses. And when we solve for the wrong problems, it can feel fun. It can feel productive. You can be getting things done off of your to-do list and like picking away at that problem that you think is the problem. And it takes you down a certain rabbit hole. But if it's not the problem that was actually holding you back from your goal, you spent a lot of time doing a lot of cool things and maybe not getting to where you wanted to be. So I was like, if we can kind of come up with a way to talk about that, I'm in. So here we go. The story is, the email that I wrote a few days ago about this event was, I recently spoke to my ideal client on a call. He was lovely. He said all the perfect things. On paper, he was the ideal client. Has anybody ever been there? Like, oh my God, I want to work with you so bad. I solve all these problems. He was saying things like, I want to feel proud of my business and I want to know exactly what I'm doing next. And I want to know that it's the right thing. And I kind of just want somebody to tell me what to do because I'm tired of guessing and just hoping that I'm doing the right thing. And I want like somebody to boss me around and tell me what to do. And I was like, hello, that's me. I'd love to boss you around. I love bossing my clients around. He was saying all the perfect things. And then we totally bonded and connected. And I was like, oh yeah, I can scale this business. So I like working with people that I can actually help. And then he ghosted. And I was so sad about that. So I did write an email to my list about why I believe he ghosted, which is all of those things he was talking about that I do. I do make people feel proud of their businesses. I do make people feel like the CEO of their business. I do give people the confidence in their next steps and what they're doing next. I do all that. But those problems aren't big enough problems to throw a lot of money at. So we have to understand. And so I actually wrote this email going, the truth is like, I can do all of that, but those aren't problems that he's probably willing to spend some money on. So it got me thinking about what is your real problem? Do we know our real problem? Do we know how to figure out what our real problem is so we can spend time solving the right problem? Cool. So what I have found is that the problem is never the problem. I don't know why there is a potato on this slide. My assistant put it in here and I thought it was so funny that I was like, yep, we're going with that. Mr. Potato Head. Of course. What I have found is people always come to me going, the truth is this guy probably said, I want to feel all these things, but that's probably not his real problem. And I probably didn't do a good enough job of really digging for like, what is really his burning problem? And he maybe doesn't have one. But a lot of times I get people coming to me going, I just need more leads. I actually have a training called I Just Need More Leads because I got tired of hearing people say, I just need more leads. I have people come to me and go, I just need more visibility. I just need a new assistant. I just need more time. Don't we all need more time? And I find that when I dig underneath that and explore the key areas of business, the problem they believe is the problem is never the problem. Now, people come to me to scale their businesses, and I first have to figure out what the real problem is before we can ever even scale. Okay, so I want you guys to just have this as a frame. You got to understand what size is the problem you're solving. If it's a $10,000 problem, that's just a Band-Aid on something. If it's like, I have a $100,000 problem I need to solve, that typically has to do with learning how to be efficient in your business, in your industry, in your market, and being consistent, which is, by the way, one of the most boring things to do in business. But when you get consistent and you get bored, you're on to something. And if you have a $1 million problem, which are the problems I like to solve, that has to do with structure and systems for scale. Okay? Oh. What is scale? We're diverting for like a half second because I want to get clear on this. A lot of people come to me for scale. They want to scale their businesses. And often we got to make sure we're on the same page about how we define scale. Please tell me in the chat if you think what scale is for you. I'd love to know. But what I find is people want to scale because often they feel overwhelmed, burnt out, exhausted. They're doing all the things. And they have this concept of scale of I'm going to do less and work less and make more money, right? But in order to even have a scalable business, we first have to grow the areas of your business that prepare you for scale. So this is the fancy definition of scale. It just means increasing your revenue disproportionately to the increase in your resources. Okay. My definition is scale means more revenue without increasing your workload or expenses. So if you were going to say, I'm going to hire more people to make more money, the scale is the same. That's not scale, right? I'm going to make more money by spending more money on ads and marketing and copy. That's growth. Again, it's not scale. Scale is when we've built a machine, a foundational machine that allows us to make more money with no more output. So expenses down here, we're not hiring anybody, we're not spending more, we're not doing more. We've actually built a foundational machine that allows us to grow revenue without growing anything else. And it gets really fun when we can do that, but we can't do that without first knowing what's your problem, where are your gaps, what are your weak spots. So the question you really need to be asking yourself all the time I mean, I feel like if I do a workshop called What is Your Real Problem? Nobody will come. But this is the question that you should ask yourself all the time is, hold on, is this my real problem? I just saw an ad for something on Instagram. I think I need it. I think I need those ads. I think I need to work with that person. I think I need to, oh, I don't do that. I need to do that. Is that my real problem? Is the question you probably have to ask yourself literally every day. If you are a business owner, you should stop. When you find yourself wanting to solve a thing, do a thing, go to your to-do list and cross something off, ask yourself, is this my real problem right now? Is this the thing I need to solve for? Okay? Because if you're always solving problems, it makes you feel good. But if it's not the real problem, it's why you often get overwhelmed, burnt out, and you feel like you're on the hamster wheel of working hard and going nowhere. All right? So, cool. Okay, stop preaching at me. How do I figure out what my real problem is? Well, that's what we're going to break down today. I'm going to give you a few of my frameworks, and I'm going to invite you to really look at these frameworks. And if you see yourself, if you see something, say something, as they say in New York City subway. If you see yourself coming up in any of these slides, feel free to go, oh, yeah, I think that's where my weak point is. Because the better we can get at going, yeah, there's all these things I want to do, but yeah, I have a gap right there that I'm not addressing. I promise you, if you address the gap, a lot of times it's addressing the gaps you don't want to address is the thing that's game changer in your business. And I've grown a lot of really well-known people's 7-figure businesses. And people always ask me, like, how did you do it for them? How did you do it for them? How did you? And the answer is always really boring. It was once we figured out where the gap was in which department and we fixed that, revenue went up with less effort. Okay. So why most businesses stall out at around 500K. This is a really typical place. I tend to see people stuck in the quarterlies, usually around 202K. Then there's a stuck point at 500K, then 750K. And I call this the messy middle. Getting to 7 figures is like the messy middle because there's something that needs to happen from the 0 to $1 million range. And then I promise you at around 2 million, there's a stuck point, and then 5 million, there's a stuck point. So it happens consistently. We all know the adage, what got you here won't get you there. And that happens at every stage of business. Okay. But in this range, if you are in the 6-figure stuckness, the reason why you're stuck is typically you outgrow the hustle. You hit operational chaos. So your operation systems hasn't caught up to what you're actually doing in the world. You still think in terms of projects instead of systematically delivering whatever it is you deliver. And you're solving nice to have problems and not big ones. Like my example earlier, if this guy hired me, I would have solved nice to have problems rather than solving problems worth $1 million, right? The reason people hire me to work with me privately is because I solve $1 million problems. If I can make you $1 million, working with me is worth it. Makes sense. Okay. So here is how we are going to go digging. We're going to go digging right now for where your problem is. This is my framework. This is called the Grown-Ass Business Method. And the way that I see business is that if we could imagine in a dream world, if we had the budget, what we would do is hire a head of a department for all the key departments in business. And as small businesses, we often don't have the budget to do so. So what I do and how I teach business is that we're going to run the business as if we had all those seats in place. And the way that we do that is instead of trying to do all the things and be overwhelmed by all the things is we have to have a really good understanding of the key elements that each of those people would be in charge of when they are in charge of their business. Because the goal here is not overwhelm and you have to be a master of everything, right? The goal here is I have to understand like the basics that a COO would cover. I have to understand what a CMO really does and what are the 2 or 3 things they really are looking at. I got to understand like the 2 or 3 numbers a CFO really looks at, right? You get what I'm saying. So this is the Grown-Ass Business methodology. It's meant for small businesses trying to get to $1 million and beyond, which is what do you do when you can't hire the dream team? You need to understand what the dream team would do so that you don't get distracted by all the things a dream team would tell you, don't you dare touch that. That's not important, right? When you have a dream team, everybody is focused on the key things that move their department forward. And they go, oh God, no, don't do that. That makes no sense. We're not doing that. But what happens is when you're alone, you don't have the dream team to bounce off of and tell you, don't do that. Why would you do that? So everything looks shiny. We get a lot of shit as entrepreneurs for shiny objects, but it's actually totally normal that we like shiny objects because we have nobody around us going, that's a shiny object. Stop it. Put it down, right? So this method is meant for us to look at it consistently and go, wait a minute. What would my COO do right now? What would the CRO do right now? Okay. Thank you, Kate. I worked with a real artist and not AI to do all of my artwork and methodologies because he also did this artwork for me back here because I'm a former artist. So, got to respect the game. So here we go. Here is my full system. I'm giving it to you. Take a screenshot, baby boo. It's trademarked. Okay. Just give me credit where credit is due. That's all I ask. Screenshot this because if you're like, Celi, that's a lot and that's overwhelming, it's really not. Believe it or not, these are the things that each department head would be in charge of. And if they aren't doing these things, they either don't know how to do their job, they're ripping you off, or they have shiny object syndrome too. Okay? So this is, I'll give you my artist's number, Kate. He's lovely. Okay. So I want you to go through every single thing. We're going to go through this very quickly and just call yourself out. If you're like, shit, I don't have that. Number one, the CEO, that's you. You are in charge of an actionable vision plan. That means your vision of your business and where you're going is not in your head in a cloud bubble dream state. The vision of your business is written down on paper or in digital, and you share it regularly with your team. Even if you have one VA, I don't care. My VA reads my vision all the time. She calls me out on it. You share it with your team, you share it publicly, and you share it with your clients so that they know what you're up to. I know, it's really uncomfortable. Call me later if you want some therapy. And the other thing that you're in charge of is obviously a winning offer suite. That's really what the CEO is in charge of, because if you have a clear vision plan that's on paper, that helps you guide the ship. Okay? If you had a CFO, one of the first things that they would do is make sure you're profitable. By the way, this is the number one, the survey says, number one thing that all my clients do not do when they come work with me is they do not know if their offers are individually profitable. The number one tool we use in my programs every single time is the profitable pricing exercise. And I'm like, wah, wah, wah. Can we have a little fun? But do you know if your offers are profitable, standalone, right? This is what a CFO would do. They'd also know what your cash flow is at all times, because even CFOs don't really like P&Ls and don't like reading P&Ls. And I haven't read a P&L in years. True confessions. They would also have something I call the 7-figure calculator, but it's basically, do you have a financial goal set in place? And is it broken down by offers so that you know exactly how many you have to sell to get there? Do you have clear financial goals? By the way, more is not a number. Just saying. You can quote me on that, Annie. More is not a number. I need to know your number in order to get there. Okay? And then do you have sales projections, which I also find most businesses do not have. I have a tool for this that helps you once you have set goals, set offers that are profitable, we create sales projections. I promise I make it really fun. Listen, I'm a former professional dancer. If I can do numbers like this, you can do numbers like this. Okay? Okay. So what would a CMO do? Guess what a CMO would not do? They would not create a bunch of content and a content plan for you. That's not what a real CMO would do. The first thing they would do is make sure that you have product market fit with your industry. Product market fit is basically, do you have the right product for the right people at the right price in a way that can scale? They have to do research with your current audience and possible audience to make sure you have product market fit. They do voice of consumer interviews to make sure that you're speaking to your people. They create a messaging matrix based off of what your people say to them. And then they create a results-driven marketing strategy that's specific to your business, your vision, your numbers, and your industry. We always think that CMOs are going to just like make a magical marketing campaign. And that's actually not how marketing works, believe it or not. Good times, I know. You guys can feel free to call yourselves out if you're seeing where you have your gaps. The CRO, Chief Revenue Officer or Head of Sales, they are in charge of keeping an active sales pipeline. So that thing that we often do where we have a lead and we forget to follow up and they get lost, that's the CRO's job. So do you have a CRM where you have a visual of all of your leads and exactly where they are in place? Where are they in time and where are they in your sales process so that you have a team, whether that's you or somebody else, that's consistently following up with all your leads? Okay. So your CRO is in charge of understanding how many licks does it take to get to the lollipop? That's what I call understanding conversion rates. How many leads do I have to talk to close a sale? And they're in charge of understanding the sales pipeline. And the COO is in charge of taking all of this information and making an annual strategy plan and a weekly strategy plan and managing the metrics of all the key departments in order to make sure that we're actually moving forward on the right things and we're solving the right problems. Okay, so we can keep going, but let me know in the chat, and I'm going to respect time. Let me know in the chat where you're like, I don't really do that, or I don't really have that, or I'm not really sure about that. Here are the most common $1 million problems I see. And feel free to call yourself. And by the way, even though I teach this stuff, I can tell you like where my gaps are too, because we're actually always working with our gaps and we're always filling in our gaps. Okay. So there's no like, oh, I feel wrong for having a gap in the first place. No, that's business. That actually is how business works. It's fun. You need some peeps. I love that. So most common $1 million problems I see are we're often selling the wrong offer and trying to scale the wrong offer too soon. So the wrong offer can be two reasons. I made something I want to make. I made a product I wanted to make, or I made an offering I wanted to make that I think would be fun, but I didn't check if other people want it. This happens in software a lot. Okay. And yeah, or you can have an offer that people don't want or an offer that you don't know how to market or talk about. Another problem is your delivery method of your product or offer can't handle more clients anyway. So you want more money, you want more revenue, you want to scale, but you actually haven't built a system that could actually handle more clients. This happens to a lot of coaches and consultants, right? Thank you, Kate, for saying that. And another problem I see is the marketing plan is not made to honor your business or industry, which is what leads to drying up of leads. I see this a lot. We always think that we're like bad at marketing, or we're doing marketing wrong, or we just need to make more content, or we need to go viral on TikTok, or we need to go viral on Instagram. But the truth is a lot of times we don't have the marketing plan that's right, that's a good fit for our product, our industry, and our ideal clients. So not all marketing plans and all marketing campaigns are created equal. You would be surprised if I tell you how I have a multi-six-figure business. Like if I told you what my marketing plan is, you would be surprised because it's not the typical things that you hear people talk about. It's not a funnel and it's not a shit ton of content, right? But because I do something that's very specific for my industry and my people. And that is one of the biggest problems I see in marketing is that we're doing what everybody else is doing or what we think we're supposed to be doing rather than doing what would actually work for our business, our product, and our industry. And then we hear this one a lot. The fourth one is you, the CEO, is still running the day-to-day of everything in the business, and you're not building out a team or support or SOPs to support you to be the visionary and start building out the departments like I showed you in that previous image. Yeah, Kate, a big part of my marketing strategy personally is, number one, I'm very aware that in person is more powerful now than ever, number one. Number two, I leverage the fact that I, like Annie, have a performance background. I was a professional dancer as a child, and growing up, I have a performing arts degree. So people are always surprised that I can like get up on stage with no practice and perform. It's like, well, I'm going to leverage the fact that I'm a professional performer. So I love teaching. I am an absolute nerd, but I also happen to be good on stage. So I leverage in-person events live virtual events. I host live virtual events every month where I just give away my knowledge and wisdom away for free in my monthly roundtable. I make sure to show up for my audience and for my people in a very real, authentic, non-AI kind of way. And I show up in person and personality because I'm very, very quiet and nerdy when I'm alone because I'm quite an introvert, but get me on stage and I know that's my strength. So that is my marketing strategy that works for my people. Okay. And with that, so the right order, I also did work in fashion for a really long time. I had a fashion line. So apparently I'm fashionable. The right order, if you wanted to go, oh my God, where do I start? I'm not sure where to start. Here's where I would want you to start is number one. Gap number one that I see most often is product market fit gaps. So are you selling to the right people, the right thing that they want at the right price in a way that can scale? Gap number two that I see a lot is, do you have a way of delivering your product, service, or offer in a way that can ultimately scale? And are you building operations to make delivery gorgeous? What that means is somebody buys your product and their onboarding experience is seamless and beautiful, and they feel like their hand was held through the process, right? Yes, take a screenshot of this one too. That's a good point. Like if I were going to tell you, if I don't know you at all and you weren't able to ask me any questions, I would say, do these things in this order. Order is the secret to growth, by the way. It's just doing things in the right order. Then gap number three is clean up your visibility machine. So that thing that I just shared about me personally, I have so many of my clients go, I think I want to speak on stages. And then I go, absolutely not. Just because I speak on stages doesn't mean that's the right mechanism for you. So figure out what the visibility mechanism for you is going to be. And then number four is build out your leadership and team. Okay. So some questions to ask yourself to identify your $1 million problem. I keep wanting to say number one problem. What would break if I doubled my revenue right now? If I'm being honest, right now I only take on private clients in 6-month retainer capacities, or I do a 3-month fast growth sprint, which is really fun and intense. But if I were to double my revenue, the thing that would break is probably me. That's not scalable, right? What am I still doing manually right now? Luckily, almost nothing except for writing my own emails. Hey, what feels heavy right now? I just had a baby several months ago. So what was feeling heavy was my group program because I was really available to all of my clients. So I had to put a pause and take a sabbatical from my group program to do this other project that I'm trying to do. It felt heavy. It was the right thing to let it go. What can't I delegate? Is there something that those things that you hold on to and you're like, no, I could never delegate that? That's the thing to look at. And where am I losing leads or revenue? Right? So these are the things that you might want to ask yourself. Okay? So the right order, we talked about this. What happens when you solve the right problems? Your business is going to feel lighter. Your revenue, I promise you, will grow without the chaos and the overwhelm and the fear. And you're going to stop reinventing the wheel all the time.
You always blow the minds. I mean, here's the thing. Like, when I first got to see a version of this presentation and she whipped out those, like, these are the essentials that your other roles would be. Like, this has been another big theme. One of the themes today has been grief, but another theme today that's really been showing up in terms of this rewilding thing is like returning to the simple but not easy. And it's like your CMO saying, do we have product market fit? Whoa, okay. Your pipeline saying, is there a pipeline? When you're doing all these other things, it's so easy to lose track of the forest for the trees and be like, wait a minute, if I had a CFO, they'd say, is this offer profitable yet?
Yep.
Right? Like, is this, and so just that recalibration, that's the word I always use for you, Celi. It's just that the recalibration. And then you drop that 1-2 punch with that incredible slide of like, solve this, then solve this, then solve this, then solve this, which again, when you look at it like that, it makes total sense. But when you're wandering in the woods and you're trying to
say, if you're an entrepreneur, you're wandering in the Amazon with a machete. That's kind of what it feels like.
And when you're trying to solve 87,000 problems at once because they're all the surface problems and that's what's in your face right now, you're like, wait a minute. Am I even delivering the right thing? And is that delivery sustainable? Whoa. And I mean, I talked about this earlier today. Is like, people are asking me more and more about my fractional CMO work, and I don't want it.
Right.
Because it doesn't match with my delivery abilities. I always over deliver in a toxic way when I step into that role because I haven't found a way to make it, to your point, scalable. I only have limited resources. I need more from the same, not more from less necessarily, but just more from the same. So if you came in late, make sure you peep the replay because in such a glorious, gorgeous way, Celi breaks down the difference between scaling and growth. And that's also why sometimes it's okay when people say, I don't want to scale. Great. If you have a beautifully sustainable business that matches the lifestyle you want, whatever that is, not everybody has to have a jet. Okay. But if you have a beautifully sustainable business that funds your lifestyle and whatever legacy means to you, and you don't want to scale above that, then good for you. However, scaling is about getting more out of the same or less.
Yeah.
Right. And so I think that's just so fundamental because we're trying to solve the deeper problems instead of going, what's all this? We're trying to get more foundational so that the vision actually starts to happen when everything else falls away. So thank you for doing what I knew you would do, which is just blowing freaking minds. Is there anything else that feels unsaid?
I think that you're exactly right. I appreciate Ryan in the comments saying growth versus scale is commonly misunderstood, even in the big corporations.
And
'Cause
he
that
works at
is true.
Microsoft. So
Yeah.
like he's owning it.
That is very true. You know, the thing is that step ladder slide that I showed you guys of like, okay, if you want to know the order, like here's what I would do if I didn't know
Yes.
you at all and I didn't know what your problems were.
Yes.
And here's what I would do. I want you to notice that a lot of times, if you're honest with yourself, a lot of the things that you're doing are up here in the visibility and leadership and team stuff.
Yes.
And if we can't get ourselves to like go do the thing that doesn't feel very sexy, if we can't get ourselves to do that, you're always going to be working really hard and kind of wondering like, oh, why am I so tired?
Yeah.
Well, because you're doing fun and great and cool things. Like I dog on marketing a lot. Annie knows this, we're still friends. But the reason I dog on marketing a lot is because it's like you're a lot of times putting a lot of pressure on your marketing department or your leadership and mindset skills. I mean, I'm a certified mindset coach, let's be clear. But you're putting a lot of pressure on these other things that are way out there that you're not ready for to fix the damn thing. But you're making marketing the scapegoat rather than going, wait, let me first make sure that all the pieces that make a business, and let me make sure those pieces are in place.
Okay. Of course, we're still friends because a good CMO helps you make less noise, not more. Right? Like marketing in the hands of someone who doesn't know what they're doing creates more noise and more waste. And if we're growing or scaling, waste is the enemy both ways over. And as a CMO and as someone who has created a whole bunch of marketing fluff, you'll note that there's very little fluff. And I try to not send that many emails. You know what I mean? Like we aren't here to create waste. And so that's why it's like, yes, of course, what is actually essential. And you cannot put lipstick on a Wookiee and be like, here you go, you have a whole new business model. Exactly. I mean, if you want to, you can, but you can't say you've solved a business problem because you threw some glossy marketing at something. And I would see that in software all the time where people would spend, I'm not kidding, $200,000 building software. And then they would get toward the end of the process
Oof, I
and they'd
know.
be like,
Ugh.
hey, Annie, you're the head of marketing for this company. How should I market this thing? And I'm like, cool. When does it launch? And they're like, tomorrow. And I'm like, you spent $200,000 on tech, did no market research, did no voice of customer, did no schmoozing, did no PR, didn't hire a team to do any of this for you. And now you're expecting marketing to go all the way across and be
Yep.
your ad, like, and it just doesn't work that way, right? Like marketing has to do marketing's job, but marketing cannot put a house fire out.
Nope.
It's gasoline. Like it's
Yeah.
not meant to put a house fire out. If anything,
Right.
it's supposed to make
Marketing
things
is meant to
more.
be gasoline on a good thing.
So
Yeah.
I just feel like, of course we're friends because if anything, without trying to sound like I'm trying to shirk responsibility, I very often have to be like, cool, but that's not marketing's job. And I say that not so you don't get full value. I say that everybody go back and rewatch Bermuda Triangle of Burnout. I say that so
good.
people understand what to expect from people in different lanes. And just like we don't expect implementation or strategy from strategic implementers, we really shouldn't expect PR from marketers. We really shouldn't expect social media strategy from accountants. Like it just doesn't really happen that way. So
That's exactly right. And I think I have a question. Kate said, is there a difference between deliver at scale and scaling?
yes. Ooh.
That's a really, really great question. No, it's just a different way of saying the same thing, right? If you're actually scaling a business, you have created a way to deliver the product, goods, or services at scale.
Right. So like scaling is the act of delivering at scale.
Yes, exactly. Thank you, wordsmith, because
No, but I'm like, that makes, I mean, that it's a little bit of an AI like word salad where it'll be like, I'm going to put the sentence together. And you're like, does that actually make sense? But no, it's like, can you deliver? Because I think that's the other thing that people don't understand about scale in one word is scale is not only about delivery, but it is very, very much about capacity. And capacity is based in delivery. You cannot out deliver your capacity. You cannot up your capacity just because your delivery mandates it. You have to think about those things together when you're growing. And so often people are like, I can't wait until I'm an overnight success. Cool. What have you done for that? Do you have a warehouse? Do you have this?
Are you ready?
That? Do you have a lawyer?
There's also, I think what we don't talk about enough is like the universe is intelligent. So it knows for all my people who want to be the overnight success, and I have a few clients in my world that want that. They're not ready. The universe knows you're not ready. It's not going to send a bunch of clients your way and have you totally facepalm. Like even when you asked me to do this presentation, you're like, wait, but you're like not really selling anything right now because you're developing software, right? And I'm like, well, I have 2 seats. I have 2 seats for 2. I am selling 2 seats, but that's it. That's my capacity. I'm not trying to scale the business that I'm running right now.
But see, you just said that. Like, so by you mentioned that you stopped doing the GAB program as it was, and we can use this ladder to be like, cool, I have product market fit in that people were buying it and it was an okay price, but it wasn't the right thing for you anymore.
Yeah. Well, because I'm like you, I over deliver. So if I had 12 people in a group program, that's 12 people I'm giving private access to me in Voxer and solving all of their problems. And that's just how I roll because I do believe that everyone deserves a unique strategy and that's how I coach. So is there a way to scale a group coaching program? Yes. I just wasn't doing it. And I had to get honest with myself and go, I also now have a 9-month-old. Your girl can't be everywhere, right?
Raw, real, and just a little dangerous. This is Feral.